On this episode, we talk about the importance of getting nitrogen on the corn and making sure the crop you have in is healthy and stays healthy.
Hi, this is Joe Mershman. Welcome to Cup of Joe, episode number 32. Today we have our regular panel. We got Tommy Johns, Turk Regennitter, Ben Pieper, and we're going to try to make this short and quick because I know a lot of folks are in the field, but there's some key subjects that we think you need to be thinking about, particularly as we go into the next few weeks. We're going to start off with Ben first, and Ben, you've been doing a little nitrate testing. Tell us about it.
Yep, so we have a nitrate testing machine we've touched on in some of our earlier episodes, and we can take soil cores and we pull soil cores and essentially turn that into a slurry solution, and we can test how much immediate nitrate is available in the soil for that corn to be taking in.
So we've had a lot of rain since some of this early corn was planted. Where's that nitrogen at?
Part of the process of taking the cores is I go through and I take in a straight line across, so I make sure I catch an anhydrous mark or whatever, but I pull 10 cores across the row and at a foot deep, and then I go back in those same holes and I pull another 12-inch core from 12 to 24 inches deep. We're still on preliminary fields. I've only ran 3 or 4 fields here so far, and we're definitely finding more nitrogen in the second foot than we are in the top foot, but the amount of nitrogen totaling out doesn't come close to where the original anhydrous application or the weed and feed was. So
we've lost some nitrogen.
We've lost some nitrogen.
How much?
How much? Half is, without doing more extensive studies and looking into stuff, my guess is approximately half. So that's in theory based. That's just a guess on
so
where
the
we're
3
at.
fields that you did, you feel that?
I feel that they had 160 pounds down on the anhydrous fields that I looked at. They had 160 pounds down. They might have 80 left, and the majority of it's in the second foot of the profile.
Would you say that those fields that you've done so far would be abnormally wet fields, or would they be more of a norm?
I would say that there are a little bit on the wetter side. Mm-hmm. So in what I did is I pulled cores where the corn is green and healthy on some of the higher ridges, and I pulled cores where the corn is extremely stunted and has a lot more of a yellow hue to it. In the areas where the corn is green, you can definitely tell that there's more nitrogen in the top foot. In the areas where the corn is yellow, there is almost none in the top foot of that profile.
These fields been underwater, or have they just had a lot of rain on them?
Saturated conditions.
Saturated.
I can't say ponding, but I can say saturated conditions. Okay. So you got 2 things going on. You got denitrification, where the soil is completely saturated, and your nitrate or your ammonia goes back into N2, which is atmospheric ammonia, and it goes back up in the air. Leaching is the second form that we could be looking at, and I think there's a combination of both of those things going on.
That's why your lower profile or lower foots got higher amounts, but not total is still not enough.
Right.
Recommendation, Ben, what do you think we should do right now?
If it is possible, get with your ag retailer, get with whoever you have. If you have the right equipment to do it, I think the corn that we have is going to continue to go backwards if we don't have a top dress or a side dress situation of nitrogen happen as soon as possible, because the product, the corn out there that is still green is going to continue to be green, and the stuff out there that is yellow is going to stay in its form right now, and it's going to hit V6, and it's going to be detrimental to the ear set for kernels around. So 20 to 30 pounds is my recommendation to get this corn to even up.
Turk, you got to put 20 to 30 pounds on. You used to farm, you've run into this. What are the different ways that we can do it?
Well, obviously, we used to put anhydrous on everything, but again, the saturated conditions, you've got to get the seal. When you got corn out of the ground and up, you've got to stay between the rows. I mean, there's lots of things that can go wrong with anhydrous. You know, a lot of folks now are using a dribble UAN, which is a good way to do it. You can put dry product over top.
What are the dry products possibly?
Urea, and then you have stabilized urea like ESN and Amoebas, and so those are some products, and I think very good products.
Ammonium nitrate.
And so those, I would say, preferably you want to have some type of stabilized nitrogen no matter what you do. Even if you're using UAN, I would put in some ammonium thiazole with that.
Sulfur.
That's a sulfur product. Again, your corn needs sulfur anyway, but it helps stabilize that UAN. And it's very, very important because, again, we don't need it gassing off. What percentage of the UAN is available to move? It's
half.
It's like
Yeah,
half.
yeah.
Yep, so
And
it's-
so you're stabilizing that. You need the sulfur anyway. I would definitely do that, and with a dribble product. You can broadcast too, but I really don't recommend that. I mean, you're going to burn the corn a little bit.
Up to what height? It depends upon the height of the corn.
Well, again, the smaller it is, you know, it's
We've done it for years in our plots, and if it was 6 inches or less, no big deal.
But the issue, Joe, is going to be stress. Right now, we have additional stress, and if the corn is yellow and under stress, you don't want to add more. So I
Okay.
would definitely go with a dry product and not broadcast, if at all possible. Obviously, the issue we're going to have is everybody's going to be, there's going to be a lack of people being available to do it. I would still say, no matter what, get your corn planted. If you have unplanted acres, get that in the ground. Do that. Don't stop planting to address some nitrogen needs on this yellow corn. But if you have any way or any means to get someone to do it, and again, the applicators could be the same problem. They're trying to get caught up on spraying, and then they're not going to have time to do anything else. I don't know what the answer is. Going to have to prioritize what the answer is, but obviously priority is going to be planning. Get the stuff planted to start with. We've got a short window here to still get our corn in the ground.
We've used products like Ametis, which is a sulfur, basically a sulfur-coated urea product. I know my brother Henry has that product. It's a product from Yara. It's a really nice big prill product, so it spreads real easy. I still think a buggy, even if it's a 5-ton buggy,
Yep.
and doing a big swath, using that product you can cover a lot of acres in a short amount of time, and might be the quick response if the corn's short enough.
It's fast. It's fast, and you can get over a lot of ground in a short amount of time with that product and just a regular old fertilizer applicator.
Yeah.
Up until the corn is, you're concerned about spread patterns at that point, and when
Correct.
the corn gets so tall, that buggy's only got so much clearance,
Correct.
and then you worry about spread patterns. So if you can get a high clearance buggy, a high clearance dry applicator, then you've got a lot bigger window to use that product.
In my opinion, that's close to 24 inches, and we don't have a lot of 24-inch
No.
tall corn. So
Right.
I would love to see as much of this corn get nitrogen put on it as possible to save the crop that we have.
Yep.
We used Ametis sulfur urea on our plots at West Point here, and it looks like it's working. It worked quite well. I mean, really well. So anyhow, those are some things on the corn. Okay, now the next thing coming up here is as we're planting soybeans and everything. We're starting to run out of time, aren't we, Tommy? When it comes to some of these post applications of either dicamba or and even for that matter the Enlist One, Enlist Dual, glyphosate, glufosinate, depending upon the trait. So
Sure.
You want to review those?
Yeah, we got with the dicamba situation, and I believe Illinois is the only one with a cutoff date of June 30th, Joe. And, that's coming right around the corner with a lot of beans that have yet to go in the ground. So that's something to keep in mind if that's your cropping system that you have there. And then in other states like Iowa and Missouri and some of the other Midwest states, it's 45 days after planting or first flower.
That's federal label, right?
That's federal label,
Yep.
yep. So
that first flower is the big thing. Now, when's the soybean plant going to flower, Ben?
So the soybean plant's going to flower when the days start to get shorter, which is June 20th. A soybean plant planted after June 20th has to hit 3 trifoliates before it'll throw its first bloom. But basically immediately,
it's gonna go quick, yeah.
that can happen within the first 2 weeks, 2 to 3
So
weeks.
it's not, that 45-day window is gone is really what we're
Right.
saying at this point. This late planting, that 45-day window is probably going to be more like 21 days at the most.
So it's something you definitely want to think about when you're starting to get these beans in the ground, or even if you do already have them in the ground. You want to plan ahead and you want to prioritize.
And, you know, if you want to follow the label,
That's
which
right.
obviously, you know, good stewards that farmers are, you know, that's going to come a lot faster this year than a normal year, because if you normally plant May 1st, you got a longer window to that first flower. Now we got it catching up on both sides.
Most retailers I've talked to, though, Joe said they are going to follow the label to the T on dicamba
They have
application. They have to, or they'll lose their license.
Yep.
So they could lose their
The
license.
restricted use pesticide, yep.
It's check with your retailer, because that's going to be the issue.
That's right. And so another thing too is, you know, this may be a question for you or Turk or Ben, you know, run into a lot of guys who are just getting in the field now, just get a chance to get in, and they're having knee-high mare's tail. You know, weeds are kind of out of control, you know, and they're looking for options to go in, or what they have to do, or what they can do. You know, if obviously you have an Extend product, you can go in with dicamba for pre-emerge or pre-applied and plant right in. But what would you give what would your opinion be for some of these guys that are having some major weed issues?
Jason Norsworthy has always said 22 ounces of Liberty, 7 days apart, is the most lethal thing when it comes to knocking big
weeds
broadleaves.
down.
I am more confident in 2 applications of Liberty 7 days apart than I am in some of our other options that we have. Even a Roundup 2,4-D with like our Enlist system that we run, if you have Enlist beans out there, I'm still more comfortable with the 2 shots of Liberty, because mare's tail is just one of those plants out there that seems to be able to metabolize 2,4-D fairly well. And I just really think that that's the most economical way to do it, is to have a plan where you're spraying Liberty back to back 7 to 10 days apart.
Yeah, because it's cumulative effect. You know, in other words, you'll hit some burn, you'll burn it, and then basically the second application will finish that plant off.
And add metribuzin if you can.
Okay.
Yep.
Check your metribuzin scores on your soybeans, especially if you're using this as a pre-applied. I mean, before the beans get up, add some metribuzin. That'll heat it up on your first pass.
And you hope for a warm temperature day with lots of humidity. That makes Liberty work even better yet.
Yep.
And then the one last thing, Joe, I had was kind of repeat what we had talked about on last week's episode is, you know, we got a 4 or 5 day window here. Everybody's running long hours, around the clock. Let's be safe. Let's pay attention to everything that you need to do for your own farming operation, and so we can all be successful here at the end of the year.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just finalize things and just say that this past week was a special anniversary that we want to definitely remember, and that's the 75th anniversary of D-Day, which was Thursday. And I hope, thanks to our grandparents, in many cases, they were able to liberate Europe and for that matter, the world with that invasion. And I know that we have a lot of stress with farming or not, but I still can't imagine getting out of those landing craft with bullets flying everywhere and charging a beach. We got a lot to be thankful for. So we'll see you next week, and hopefully it stays dry.